Dear students, welcome back. Today we will be continuing with the subject corporate compliance of second semester, which is been framed for the second semester autonomous batch of 23 and 25 of our college, that is SJBIT. In the previous videos we discussed about the introduction to the corporate compliance, where we try to understand what is compliance, then its importance, uses, elements of that, and different types of compliances usually that we come across in our day to day life, and also the overview along with some examples of the compliance means what, like that. Few examples we have seen. I hope that has you have understood, and that has given you a fair idea of the subject corporate compliance. So today we will be discussing about the important compliance of a company, of a corporate, no, so that is the Companies Act, that we call as Companies Act. Act means something, the compliance that we have to follow, anyone for that matter, like an employee, worker, employer has to follow that, or a customer. So which governs the companies, which is been introduced in 1956. So here in this unit we will be discussing about its meaning, features, kinds of companies, registration and incorporation, then memorandum of association, then articles of association, then prospectus and winding up of company. So like this, how to start a company, how to frame a company, and then how to wind up a company. So for all this we have the complaints that we call as the corporate compliance, which is very much required for a company. So before we start, we shall discuss, we shall know what is a company. The word is a very popular word, so which we will be using in every time, very often or very frequently. A company is, in a simple words, a company may be defined as an association of persons who contribute money or money's worth to a common stock, and employ it in some trade or business. So that is where you contribute some money worth of some to a common stock, means you buy, you invest on some material, and that you transact, that you process, and again you try to sell that to the other people, that is to the customers. So that is nothing but the sales. So that is buy and give and take policy, or buying and selling, and who shares the profit or loss therefrom, right? No, so that we call a place where we take up such transactions, that place we call as a company. Under section 3 of 1 of the Companies Act of 1956, it defines a company as a company formed and registered under this act, or an existing company. That is, existing company means a company formed and registered under any of the earlier company laws. Means say for example, you take the Tata company, Reliance Trends, Reliance, or the BPCL, or petrochemical, or any food industries or automobile industry. We do have many companies and different sectors, like transportation service oriented companies, or hospitals. No, so all these no, they have to again register under some name, so that is very much required, and from there onwards they come under some compliance. And the legal definition of this includes incorporated association, includes which is an artificial legal person having a separate legal entity with a perpetual succession, that is a common seal, a common capital comprised of transferable shares and carrying limited liability. So that company we call as a perpetual entity, that is succession, common seal, and a common, which usually will be having a particular seal, then some capital, and an owner or the entrepreneur to run that, like that, maybe an appointed one or the founder, the owner of the business itself, no. So the wherein they will be taking care of uh, all these transactions. Now coming to the nature of the company. So the nature of the company, usually we define the nature of the company as it's a separate legal entity, then it is also called as an artificial person, then it is a perpetual where it has perpetual existence, and it will be having a common seal, a limited liability, then capacity to sue or to be sued. So suppose in case of any fraud activities or in case of malpractices or anything against the rules and regulations of the company, uh, we can follow certain things. So then limited liability, then capacity to sue, to be sued, or transparency of the share, transferability of the share, like where the shares, no, suppose if you invite any public, that has to be communicated or shared among the share stockholders or shareholders. So with respect to all these, no, company is liable. So that is why these are called as the nature of the company. And also sometimes we treat a company as a separate legal entity. The reason is where the company is a separate legal entity means it is different from its members, that is it works as an individual body. Means today, say for example, an employee or worker may work today and tomorrow he may leave, or a new person may join, but whatever it is, like anybody may come and go, the company will be there with them, right? So that we call a separate legal entity, and it is an artificial person, so it is also called as an artificial person. So the reason is company is a purely a creation of law. It is invisible, intangible, and exists only in the eyes of law. And the fourth one is perpetual existence, means under section 34 of 2 of the act, it states that an incorporated company has perpetual life. That means a life of the company is not related to the life of the members. So that is an employee who worked or working may work there for 30 years, 40 years, or maybe for his lifetime, but the company, even in future after his the time also will be there. So that is why today we have many old companies, reputed companies like Tata, then Toyota and all are still working, right? Now coming to the next important the nature, that is limited liability. It means that the liability of a member shall be limited to the value of the share that is held by him, and also he cannot be called upon to bear the loss from his personal property. And also it is found that a company will be having a common seal, then transferability, that is it cannot, the company cannot impose absolute restrictions on the rights of members to transfer their shares. So to invite and also to distribute, we need to follow certain regulations, and the company has a capacity to sue and to be sued in case of some the illegal practices, no. A company can be incorporated in order to acquire a separate and independent legal personality. As a legal person, it can be sued and to be sued in its own name. So here we have different types of companies registered under Company Act of 1956. So earlier we discussed the forms of companies. Here we have different types of companies as incorporated company, then liability company, Here you are seeing the different types of companies, so which are registered under Companies Act of 1956. So the different types of companies include incorporated company, then liability company, number of based on the number of members and based on control. So hope you have gone through the types of companies. So this we will be discussing one by one. Now coming to in broad, let us understand what is a private and public company. A private company is one which by its article of association restricts the right to transfer its share, limits the maximum number of its member to 50, and also it prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any share or debenture of the company. So such companies we call as private company. So based on usually, so the categorization is based on the number of people, in that, whereas a public company means a company which is not a private company. In other words, a public company means a company which by its articles do not limit the number of members and does not have any prohibition on invitation to the public, maybe to subscribe any share or any debenture, that we call as public company. So this we have to understand. So the same has been given as the differences based on certain important parameters like minimum paid up capital, minimum number of members and maximum number of members, and the minimum number of directors, like that. So this is mandatory, we have to follow. So again followed by AOA, that is Articles of Association, that we will be discussing. What do you mean by Articles of Association? So this is an important question, to differentiate between private and public company. Now let us understand the two important key aspects as MOA and AOA. MOA means Memorandum of Association and AOA is Articles of Association. As like the private and public companies, we do have to know the difference between these two, MOA and AOA. That means MOA means the first step in the formation of a company is to prepare Memorandum of Association. It is one of the document which has to be filed with the register of the companies at the time of incorporation of the company. And MOA of a company is its character that defines where it will be, a company will be having its own set rules and regulations, the internal policies, so that we call as AOA. But MOA means that is the limitations and power of the company, that where it is going to share with the external people. So that is the purpose of MOA, is to enable the shareholders, creditors and those who deal with the company to know what is the permitted range of the enterprise. So that is where they have their role and where they don't have their role, like that there will be certain rules and regulations. Now coming to the importance of MOA. So here we have different points, like where it highlights the importance of MOA. As the first point is, it defines